Okay, we will move to our final presentation, which is being delivered on the topic of masking, social context and perceived stress in autistic adults, an ecological momentary assessment study. And I'd like to welcome Anke Scheeren to the stage. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Anke Scheeren. I'm an assistant professor at the Universiteit in Amsterdam, and I'm a researcher at the Netherlands Autism Register. I sort of feel the honor, but also a bit the burden of being the final presenter at this conference. I'm absolutely exhausted, but I'm sure all of you are as well. So I'm trying to keep it short and simple for this last presentation. So I took a quote from Oscar Wilde, which states, being natural is simply a pose. So my indication, I think this indicates that we all maybe mask throughout our lives, in our daily lives. So this is not a unique autistic trait to do masking. However, there are some subtle differences in how autistic people mask and how non-autistic people mask. So one of the things when we talk about autistic masking, I'm sure you already know this, but autistic masking is about hiding your own autistic traits or maybe copying non-autistic behavior. And when we talk about autistic masking, it's usually about trying to fit in a neurotypical standard or trying to prevent some negative outcomes such as stigmatization, discrimination, rejection. But when we talk about non-autistic masking, it's usually more about the pursuit of some positive outcome. So we try to portray a more positive image of ourselves, or maybe try to show only a certain aspect of ourselves. So there are some differences, I think, between autistic masking and non-autistic masking, where autistic masking is more focused on hiding a part of your identity and maybe trying to prevent some negative outcomes. I have some quotes about autistic experiences when it comes to masking. These are not quotes from my own study, but they're taken from a study from Hall and colleagues. And one of the quotes is, it's exhausting. I feel the need to seek solitude so I can be myself and not have to think about how I am perceived by others. Another quote, I feel sad because I feel like I haven't really related to the other people. It becomes very isolating because even when I'm with other people, I feel like I've just been playing a part. So I have not chosen these particular quotes randomly because I think these quotes really nicely show us that when autistic people mask, they're not being their, or sometimes they feel like they cannot be their authentic, true selves. And this is exactly what we focused on in our own study. So there are already a couple of knowns and unknowns when we talk about autistic masking. So what is known based on a lot of survey studies is that a lot of autistic people say they feel stressed after they masked. But there are also a couple of unknowns. So we wondered about what is the exact impact of the social context on autistic masking. And there are a lot of reasons to assume or hypothesize that perhaps autistic people feel less need to mask when they're in the company of other autistic people. So this is, for instance, based on the double empathy problem as posited by Milton. Another question that we had is masking indeed related to stress, but then within the dynamics of our daily lives? So how did we do this? We tested these two questions using momentary assessment data, which means we use data based on a smartphone application. This is a smartphone application. It's called the Stress Autism Mate. and you can see how it looks like. And this is a freely available app, which is specifically designed for autistic people, as well as co-created with autistic people. And this app tries to give people some more autonomy about our feelings of stress, but also which situations gives them stress, or which situation gives them some stress relief, perhaps. And we use this app to get some indications of, okay, in which context are you masking right now, and also how stressed are you? And we ask these questions repeatedly over a period of 28 days. So these are the questions that we asked. We asked, so who are you with? And this is mostly about, were you with autistic people or non-autistic people? We asked, to what degree could you be yourself? So this is actually our masking question. And we asked about their feelings of stress. And in total, 87 autistic participants from the Netherlands Autism Register, they all participated. And what did we find? So we found, which is not surprising, we found that autistic adults masked the least when they were alone, so not in the company of others. This is, of course, very, well, logical. Another thing that we found, and which we also hypothesized, was that autistic adults mask less in the presence of other autistic people compared to when they were with non-autistic people or in a mixed neurotype group. A third finding, that more masking was indeed associated with more stress at the same moment. However, more masking was not associated with more stress 4 hours later. Another finding is that autistic men in our sample, when they were in the company of others, they generally tended to mask less than women. So, put differently, autistic women masked more than autistic men, and you can also see it in the figure over here. So if you look just at the two right bars, you can see that the higher the bar, this indicates more masking. And if you look at the green bar, which indicates the women, and the pink bar indicates the men, you can see the green bar is higher, and that indicates more masking by women. So even though autistic women mask more, and they also experience more stress than autistic men, we didn't see a difference in the link between masking and stress. So that was actually similar for both men and women. Of course, there are always research limitations. In our case, we only used one question to get some idea of masking. And of course, we know that masking is a much more complex construct than that. So yes, this is a limitation of our study. We also had quite a selective sample indicating that relatively many autistic females participated, often with a late autism diagnosis, and also they were fairly highly educated. Finally, I think it's important to note that due to our theoretical framework, we only focused on the negative effects of masking, but we cannot exclude the possibility that maybe in some cases it might actually be beneficial to mask sometimes. So how does this help autistic people? I think our findings highlight the wish for, or the urgency maybe for autism-safe and neurodivergence-safe spaces. But of course, in reality, autism is still a minority, so I guess you still have to be out there in the world if you want, if you want to or not. So I think, in line with a lot of other speakers at this conference, I think a step forward would be to accept each other's differences. And that sounds very easy, and I know it's not that easy, but I think that is the way to go. So there should be more acceptance, not only within neurotypes, but also across neurotypes. And maybe to end with one of the quotes I got from one of the keynote speakers, which was Sue Fletcher Watson. She said, there's a strength in diversity. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's no easy feat to do the final presentation of a 3-day Congress, but I am personally delighted that we ended on a theme so closely related to the overall theme of quality of life within the Congress. Are there any questions? Yes, go ahead.
Maybe one question regarding the whole concept of masking, because the definition says that masking is a behavior that the person uses to fit into society, and I believe we also have to take into account that masking behaviors could also be that some people may, for example, exaggerate their autistic traits in order to fit into the stereotyped version of how society perceives autism. For example, someone may have no issue with making eye contact, but once they've received their diagnosis, they may start to avoid eye contact because that's something that the society expects of them. So I think it's also, in the future studies, it would be important to take this into account in terms of measuring how in the ways we measure masking and which behaviors do we think of as masking. Thank you, and also thank you once again for your research. It was very informative and interesting.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's a very interesting idea that how we define masking, and I don't think we are fully there yet.
Thank you. Do we have any further questions before we move to a close? Okay, fantastic. So in that case, the next step on the agenda is tea and coffee outside, and following that at 5 p.m. we will move to the closing ceremony, which will take place here. Thank you so much and enjoy the remainder of your afternoon.